Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to talk to you about an exciting new battery from the LiTime product line, and that is their dual purpose 140 amp hour battery. I have been looking for a budget battery that will do cranking and electronics, and this is it. So this is their 140 amp hour dual purpose battery. It is a group 31 size battery. So it's a pretty large footprint. It is a full group 31. So it's, you've got 24s, they're a couple inches shorter, but this is a full replacement for a lot of your, pretty much any boat out there is going to be running a group 31 size cranking battery, and this guy will drop right in there. 140 amp hours is a ton of power. So that is what the total capacity of the battery is. So you're able to run not only your cranking requirements for your outboard or for your inboard, outboard, your stern drive, whatever you're running, but you can also run your radio off of it, your electronics, your fish finders, your whatever you got running off your boat. You can really pull on this thing, and it's got a lot of capacity in it at 140 amp hours. So I don't miss anything. I'm going to go through and read some of the specs to you. So let's just talk through some of them. Lithium iron phosphate chemistry. This is what we've covered 1,000 times on this channel. Lots of cycle life out of these batteries, 4,000 cycles depending on the depth of discharge, and you're able to run them for a very long time. When you're talking about a cranking battery in your boat, 2 years, you're probably thinking about getting rid of it. Not with one of these. You're going to be able to go a long time with that. So now that we're talking about a cranking battery, one of the biggest differences between this battery and like a regular 100 amp hour battery is going to be on the BMS and being able to manage that current draw coming through it. So these ones are built a bit differently, especially on the BMS side, to be able to handle those cranking amps because they can pull quite a bit. From a hot cranking amps standpoint, 1500 amps. It's your hot day, pulling on it, 1500 amp cranking capacity. MCA, or your marine cranking, that's basically above freezing. That's going to be 1200 amps, more than enough to cover any of the outboards that you're going to run into. Cold cranking amps at 900. Max continuous discharge current at 1C or 140 amps. That's 1792 watts, which is a lot. Dimensions wise, it's going to be 13 inches across, 6.7 inches deep, and 8.5 inches tall. ABS plastic housing, IPS 67 rated here. And then it's got your basic features here where we got, it is self-heated. I almost forgot that. Okay, so let's talk about some of the features. So it's got your traditional protections. Obviously it's now set up for cranking, so you're gonna have a really high peak output current on it. It's gonna have high temperature protection, low temperature charge protection, but it doesn't quite need that because it's self-heated. So there's heating elements in here, and why that matters, let's just say you fish up in the north and you fire up your motor on a cold day. If you have low temperature charge protection, it's just not going to accept that charge. So if you crank it, you may not be recharging your battery. Since it's self-heated, once you apply that current to it, or that higher voltage to it, it's going to heat itself up and be able to accept that charge in freezing conditions. So it's self-heated. If that matters to you and the climate that you operate in, you definitely need to pay attention to that. You want a self-heated battery. Not all of them are. So take a look into that. So I know, just looking on the website, it says that it's up to 225 horsepower rated. I'm not really sure what that means. This is obviously a 115. It spins this motor over just fine. I've been running it. Just ran at Texoma yesterday. We were doing some 13, 15 mile runs, right? So we're running the boat for 20 minutes and it'll charge. I'm looking at the app on my phone. Oh, it's Bluetooth connected, which is fantastic. Move this over here. So it's running, it's charging off the stator of this boat. Not an alternator, at 18 to 8 amps, depending on what the boat's doing operation-wise. So I've had no issues with this boat running this motor with this battery, and it is a stator setup. So on the website, it is rated to a 225 horsepower outboard. Like I said, I don't really know what that means. The horsepower rating is one thing. You got different displacement motors, you have different compression ratio motors, you got blown supercharged motors. I went ahead and found something a little bit bigger than that to try this cranking battery on. So I went with a 5.7 liter Hemi V8, which is in my 1972 Plymouth Cuda, about a 425 horsepower engine. So a little bit bigger than most of the outboards that we'll be running into. And let's hear that thing go. Okay, So I think we've made our point. I'm really, really happy with this battery. So right now this boat operates off of just 2 batteries. When I bought it, I had 5. I had a cranking battery, I had 3 trolling motor, 12 volts, and then I had an electronics battery. I now have 2 batteries in this boat. I have a 36 volt LiTime for the trolling motor, and I have this battery here that runs all my electronics. All my graphs on pull about 8 amps, so I pull it up in the app. All my graphs running will run it at 8 amps. And you know, I run the graphs all day. I go fishing, I run around, it charges a little bit. At the end of the day, I'm at like 87 to 90% state of charge. So nothing to be concerned about. Lots and lots of power available to be able to use for all day of fishing and running your electronics. It makes for a very simple setup in your boat if you go this route. You know, a lot of people these days are running an AGM or a lead acid cranking battery. Then they've got an electronics battery, then they got the trolling motor batteries. You know, that's more banks to charge. That could be an issue with a charger. To me, if it's not on the boat, it can't fail. And so I've only got 2 batteries on the boat, 2 banks of charging to worry about instead of 4 or 5, which I think is really nice. All things considered, I've got no concerns with this battery whatsoever. It's been running fantastic. The price point is awesome.